Sanbonani, Kamalam Sepasihle, and I'm back with another video. So I'm back with another controversial video to talk about the the unique stance of the ANC in the world stage. So as we all know it, that the ANC is loved and hated, and the ANC has been like this for a long time, for as far as I remember. So in this video, I want you to sit down with me. If you want to grab some snack, whatever you want to do. I'll be having my water so we can have this good conversation. So I think ANC has a very unique stance on the world stage, because let's talk about in 1994, or the release of Mandela. Let's talk about the release of Mandela first. When when the tensions were up, and Mandela was asked that does he still have the same stance with Libyan dictator, which is Muammar Gaddafi, and Fidel Castro of Cuba, amongst other leaders, which the West said they are terrorists, which they saw them as threat. So as we were at that stage, Mandela answered that question in a very modest way. And said, we have problems in South Africa, and we asked the Americans, they didn't help us. We asked the British, they couldn't help us. We asked Libya and Cuba, they helped us. So who are we to look at their interior businesses? Who are we if we are beggars? So we can't be also saying, but we don't like this, we don't like that. If the people who say they are holding high moral standard don't hold that standard when it comes to the Black South Africans. And the stance of the ANC that is very unique. They don't stand with the Pan-Africanists that much, and they don't stand with the whites that much. I can tell you why. ANC is called the sellout among the black, and is called the communist, the terrorist amongst the whites. So to me, it says a different story. So I think it's a very unique stance. We can go on with, amongst other things, that the ANC has shown that it has a unique stance in the world stage. It has a unique stance. Okay. With what the ANC have learned from Zimbabwe, they didn't take the land in the Zimbabwean way. And Mandela fought not only for black people, but also the white people to live in harmony in this country. Yes, other people, we have people who were fighting for black liberation. But if we're talking about the ANC stance, it has been fighting for black liberation, but also to have white people living here in South Africa in harmony one day. If I can tell you some of the history, if I can remind you some of the history that happened in 93 and 94 before the voting, it was very bloody. It was very bloody. ANC versus the IFP, and it was AWBC. What was that? The party of Eugene Telebranche. Also, those leftists wanted to destabilize South Africa so they won't get into election. They wanted a free state. They wanted to take free state. Using Zulu people, using our own Zulu people, funding the Zulu people and supplying them with guns so they can attack the ANC, because of they wanted KwaZulu-Natal to be an independent state, like the Boers wanted the homeland, the homeland, that the black people to be on the homelands. They wanted to divide us. That's why Buputatswana was developed amongst the homeland, but it was nothing compared to the Boer state. It was most of the areas that we were in, they represented less of what's this of money. It didn't translate to money, so they wanted us to depend on the homeland, to depend on South Africa for everything. But the ANC, most black people agreed to those, wanted those. The kings, the chiefs, the leaders. That's why personally, I no longer respect, those people. I'm done with the respect of the kings and those kind of people. I don't care about them. That's my opinion, because of they can sell you at the blink of the eye to save their asses. So I don't give a damn about them. I really don't give a damn about them, because of they not king that protect people. They protect their interest and protect the interest of the people who are also giving them money and all that. It's just a disgrace that they wanted us to depend on that. So the stance of the ANC in that is very unique. It has allowed us to be South Africa, to have the resources that we have. Just imagine if we allowed to be living in the homelands, to be ruled by these kings. They would have been dictators. We will be ruling by their kids, who are drunkard, who are also self-entitled, who never known a struggle, who doesn't know how it feels to be like one of us. So in the democracy that we are in, we have, that thing to come up from the bottom and go to the top in political spaces where people can vote for you, not the king things. So I think the ANC played a major role in that, to make sure that those negotiations don't happen whereby it's just where the Botswana would get its states, the KwaZulu states, Lesotho and all that. So it's a very unique stance of the ANC. And in the Israel and the Palestine, we always had this stance. If you didn't follow through, if you think it's a now thing, it always been how it is now. South Africa always had the stance that it's having on Palestine and Israel. Even in the midst of everything, when Israel people funded Mandela, he said it. He said, even he's funded by some of the Israel who believe in his vision. But in the scripts that were illegally occupied by the Israels, he still have his stance. He still had his morals. Okay, now let's go back. Let's go years later. In this Ramaphosa era, because remember, Ramaphosa was the negotiators in the translation of the power. He was the delegate who was sent for negotiating. So at the height of when Donald Trump is it's his worst behavior. The first time as a president, it's understandable, we didn't understood on what he's capable of, what he wasn't capable. But now we know. But he took his stand and signing these bills one by one. I think ANC is a dying horse. So the kicks that's gonna be giving to people, it's gonna be severe kicks to the apartheid system, to the system they always wish they defended people from. Because the enrollment of these things, is one of the ace cards of the ANC. That's what I think. It always wanted to implement these things, but it had so much corruption within it that it didn't realize. So whether you like the ANC or you don't like it, I think the stance of the ANC will be unique in the world stage. It has the utmost potential because it's not clinging to the communists or to the capitalists, because the communists think it's the capitalists think it's the communists, and it's not clinging to the Pan-Africanist, because Pan-Africanists think they are the sellouts. They're not clinging to the white monopoly because they think they are ruining South Africa by implementing these laws that include the black people. Those black people that are saying these are sellouts. It's just a unique stance that we need to assess. So I was having this time to talk to my people and say, let's talk about it. Let's talk about our country.